Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to, I was going to say the Investing Across Borders podcast because I just hosted a podcast about 10 minutes ago. And we are actually just entering our second year of my podcast, Investing Across Borders. But today, I'm here to welcome you to how to immigrate through investment, how to immigrate through real estate, and how to find your goals in terms of real estate and business investment, specifically in the US, but also internationally, and also obtain immigration status as a result of that process. So I'm Lauren Cohen, I'm your host. I am originally from Toronto and now in South Florida, and very grateful to be here at this time. As you can imagine, it's getting colder in Canada. And I'm happy to be here in Florida, although there's definitely some challenges in terms of my ability to see my family in Canada. We're just going through that. My mom is like texting me every 5 minutes trying to figure something out. It's quite interesting. I think I'm just going to get a private jet. What do you think? Anyway, I have to apologize. I have been having throat issues since, unfortunately, having COVID. And I found out a name for it yesterday, and I'm doing these exercises and everything, but it's not a one-day fix. Apparently, it's multiple months. So that's exciting stuff. But anyway, it's my pleasure to be here hosting, and we'll provide you with a range of downloads and options for following up with us and taking next steps and, doing all that you need to do to go from here to what you want to accomplish in your business and your life. And welcome. So again, if you have not already done so, please put your name and information in the chat. Miri, do me a favor and please remind those girls that they need to come on the call because I need them here. And we will get started. So today what we're going to talk about is the 10 steps to immigrate to real estate, as well as some general information about how to immigrate, what the options are, and not just immigrating, but also investing in real estate across borders, because not everybody wants to immigrate. And the beauty of investing in real estate or business across borders is that you can. You don't have to immigrate. You may not want to immigrate. There's all kinds of options that are available. And our goal here at eCouncil Global is to teach you how to invest across borders painlessly and successfully, and hopefully to make millions of dollars. Okay. Disclaimer, I am a lawyer in 2 countries, so I have to make a disclaimer. Nothing that we're talking about today or any other webinar or general information presentation is legal advice or professional advice of any nature. This is general information that's available to you as one of my strategic colleagues. For example, Alessio and I connected a few months ago. He is a broker in Montreal, and he's building an international network. Dawn works with one of my favorite clients, but don't tell them I said that, Dawn, okay? And she's in North Bay, and we literally are on this thing called Telegram like all day long. I think Dawn and I are probably the most connected I've been with a client in a long time. So it's fun to be here, but again, it's not legal advice. Please don't treat it as such. If you want to speak with me specifically, we will give you a way to do that at the end of the call. And we are also creating a really, really cool, I think it's really cool, membership program that's going to be available very inexpensively, that will allow you to access all kinds of videos that will give you the details so that you can do a lot of this yourself, and at least a lot of the groundwork, so you don't have to pay us to do it for you. Okay, and any questions along the way, please reach out to me reach out in the chat, and we will do our best to endeavor to answer those questions. What do clients want? So clients want solutions. You want to make money. You want to know that we have your backs. You want us to be creative, responsive, knowledgeable, have confidence and flexibility, and provide you with options so that you're not stuck and your freedom isn't compromised. You want alternatives to high-priced real estate investments, most to Canada, right? And viable financing options. And guess what? I have all of this for you in one nice little package. So this top 10 mistakes when investing across borders is and will be a kind of a speech on its own. And it's a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I am interviewed on this quite often, not necessarily the top 10, But these are the top 10 mistakes people make when investing across borders. The number one mistake is always going to be a failure to hire the right team of professionals. Now, you may not know who the right team of professionals is or are, but you need to hire somebody to be your trusted advisor, like our team, to help you invest in real estate and build your network and make sure that you're doing all the right things to do it across borders successfully and painlessly. The reality is that that failing to hire these professionals can end up resulting in huge impact on your bottom line, on your legal obligations, on your tax implications, and it just can't be underscored enough. So that's always going to be the number one biggest mistake that people make, thinking everything is the same in the destination country as in your home country, not paying attention to cross-border or international legal, regulatory, tax and other matters, and just not paying any attention to what's going on in the whole process and thinking that it's one size fits all. Waiting for the perfect time or being fearful of investing too soon and missing out. That's right now, people are like, oh, the market's too hot, the prices are too high, I'm gonna wait for it to drop. You know what, you might wait just a little too long. If you see an opportunity, take it. Hiring the least expensive professionals or those ranked highest on the internet because they paid for the Google ads to get ranked high. That's not necessarily the right way to do things, actually probably the wrong way, and it doesn't mean that they've been properly vetted. Investing in the destination country without regard to implications for your home country. This is also a very big deal because you don't know what you don't know. And investing in another country is going to have different tax implications, for example, than investing in your home country. Setting up the wrong legal structure, huge negative repercussions and tax implications. Approaching investment with a one-size-fits-all approach, never the right thing to do. Investing without doing proper due diligence. This often happens, especially if you're working off market, you don't work with a realtor, and you can create a lot of problems for yourself because you're invested into this investment that doesn't necessarily qualify or meet your standards, or even isn't as good an investment as it at first seems. Just because something is 40,000 or 50,000 a door doesn't mean it's the best investment ever. And listen, we all know in North Bay, I think the average price point is what, 180 or 160, right, Dawn? In Toronto, it's about 600, crazy, per door, a little bit nuts. And in places like Ohio, or it might be more like 30 or 40,000, or Arkansas, or Mississippi, or Tennessee. But that doesn't mean that it's a better option. It just means you have to do more due diligence. Overlooking the importance of accessing business or investment visas to cross borders so that you don't have problems running your business. Running before you walk and making the investment haphazardly without a plan. I won't work with anybody that doesn't have a plan, okay? Or undercapitalizing or overinvesting your own funds and not using other people's money. Again, a lot of people say to me, well, there's a challenge because I don't know how to get access to funding. I'm investing in the US, what do I do? There's no, my bank won't fund me. I can't get it from a US bank. Well, guess what? I have a solution for that. It actually is my sponsor called Lendi, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. What's the worst thing that could happen? Well, I'll tell you a little story. The first one. But before that, these are the other things that could happen is you can lose your business, you can be unable to operate your business, you can be unable to visit your investments, you can lose out on potential deals, miss out on relationships, and have no credit or access to financing, all of which translate to a loss of money, which it means it hits our pocket, which is where it hits and hurts the worst, right? But let me tell you a story about how I came to be doing what I do. And people are like, what happened? So yeah, this was me, in 2007, I think it was, and I was married, and I married somebody here in Florida from Montreal, sorry, and, or should I say sorry. And anyway, I married him and we went on our honeymoon to Thailand, and unbeknownst to me, because I was not in the immigration world at the time, I was actually in the process of getting my green card. So unbeknownst to me, my then husband was inadmissible. I didn't know this. So here we are going on our honeymoon to Thailand. And guess what? On the way back from our honeymoon, they said, your husband has gone like this. This is exactly what they did. It's gone like this to the US government one too many times. And Mary, if you could let people in, I'm sorry, you're the only one I made a co-host so far. And now we're going like this right back to him, okay? And I'm like, huh, what? So it so happened that he had done something that was illegal in the Cavendish Mall in Montreal, and he had received a pardon for it, but I didn't know any of this. And guess what? A Canadian pardon is not recognized by the USCIS, by immigration. So guess what that meant? It meant that he was inadmissible. And so, hold on, that's my mom, sorry. She just doesn't stop. So he was inadmissible and they expeditiously removed him. They put him in immigration jail. They subsequently deported his, you know what, and they barred him from entry. So it was not a very fun time in my life at the time. This was on my dad's birthday in 2007. They took him away. They sent him back to Osaka, Japan, where we flew in from. And I was like, okay, now what? And they sent me here to South Florida. And I was like, what do I do? So I decided at that time that there was no way that I was going to allow this to happen to other people. And I entered into the crazy immigration world, where I've been ever since. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So that's the worst thing that can happen. As you can see, why work with us and why now? Know the pitfalls to avoid. I'm a Canadian who helps other Canadians and people from all over the world make the move. I've been through all of it myself. There's always got to be alignment between myself and my clients. If there's not alignment, we're not going to work together. For me, it's about way more than the money. And I've just been through an experience where that was reiterated like a million times over. It was because I took somebody on when things were not as busy as they are now. And it was not my highest and best use of my time, and I'm paying the price. So access to financing, prices in Canada and other jurisdictions are off the chart. So now is really the perfect time to invest in real estate and consider opting for opportunities in real estate and other realms. Coming to America. So this slide is available. I'll share it with you guys after I'm finished with my presentation. It talks about all the different visas, which I talk about in my book, Finding Your Silver Lining in the Business Immigration Process. It's a nice kitschy little way to just have a little cheat sheet about what the visas mean. Now, the only difference is, and I haven't changed this yet, the EB5 visa, which is a green card through investment, is a $500,000 and $1 million investment, not 900 and 1.8, but that's a changing thing. It changes every few months. So right now it's down. By December, it'll probably be up again. So who knows? Maybe it's not even worth investing the time to change it. But the most common visas that we're going to talk about today are the E2 and the E1 visa, both of which are based on treaty, both of which are up to 5 years in duration, both of which are renewable indefinitely, neither of which leads directly to a green card. Okay? In my book, I call the E2 visa the coveted visa and the E1 visa the forgotten visa. The E2 visa is much more common for real estate investors because it's based on investment. The E1 visa is based on trade in goods or services, goods and or services. So for somebody that's running, for example, a business that does a lot of trade shows in the US, that might be a great visa option. And a lot of clients, and what they don't realize, and we'll talk about this as well, is a lot of times you do not need to or even have the intent to move to the US to get a visa. And getting one of these visas does not require you to move unless you're getting a green card. Okay, these are steps, these are options, these are opportunities. So any questions so far before I continue? No, no questions. Okay, I'm just telling my mom that I'm not available. You know, moms, right? So what is an E2 visa? As I mentioned, it requires a bilateral treaty between the US and applicant's country. And I'll go through the countries that have those visas, those treaties in place. It does change. Like in 2018, Israel was added. I think in 2019, New Zealand was added. But generally speaking, it stays pretty static. And right now, there's no activity going on in terms of adding or removing countries. Principal investor must be invested or in the process of investing in a US business of which he or she will direct and develop. Now, that's subject to interpretation. I have a lot of clients, including one that's on the call right now, that are investing in a little more passive opportunity that we will qualify because of the management of the process. But this allows this client to be a little more absentee and a little more hands-off, but you still need to be directing and managing and developing the enterprise. You must own at least 50% of the business, so you can have two E2 investors investing in one business. James, are you here?
I am.
Okay, cool. So this is for you. I'm glad you got in. I'm so sorry about the mix-up, but I'm glad everybody's here now. At least the people that are supposed to be here are here, right? And they're granted for up to 5 years, as I mentioned, depending on reciprocity. Now, reciprocity is very interesting because, like, for example, Canada has a 5-year reciprocity term. Guess how long, believe it or not, Iraq has an E2 visa available. Guess how long it is? Take a guess, anybody. Dawn, what about you? Take a guess how long you think Iraq's reciprocity might be. Up to 5 years. Putting her on the spot. Anything? Come on, you can guess.
I think about 5 years.
No. So up to 5 years, it's anything between 3 months and 5 years. I'm giving you a clue. It's 3 months. So think about it. You invest in this business, you start this business, you invest and you'll get an E2 for 3 months. Now, why would anybody do this? Well, I'll tell you why. So there's some restrictions on certain countries, and there have been over time. And the part of the reason is if you invest in EB5 and you're getting a green card, you can't come here while you're waiting, and there's a 3-year queue to get even a conditional green card. So you need to find another option. So they can do these 3-month renewable visas and use the same business sometimes for the E2 and the green card, and they can then at least be here during the interim. That's one example. Renewable indefinitely, again, as long as you continue to meet the visa requirements, but it's very stressful. And a lot of E2 clients, during COVID, had to shift gears, which if there's a material change, you have to file that. It's very complex. So if you can find a path, and we'll talk about this as well, the E2 doesn't lead directly to a green card, but if you have a business in your foreign country and you own, a viable business, not just a solopreneurship, but a viable business with employees, we might be able to get you what's called an EB1C. Okay, so it must be a real business, not marginal. You can't just set up a business to replace your family's income or support your family. You have to hire people, and you have to not be marginal, and your investment has to be substantial. So everybody says to me, well, what is substantial? How much is it? How much is it? 100,000? What about the 500,000? So as a general guideline, I say 100. The more, the better. Okay. So if somebody comes to me and they're doing a business that's 80,000 and it's a service business, it might be okay. But if they're investing in an $80,000 business to produce, like, I don't know, produce some type of manufactured product, it's probably not going to fly because that's not enough business for a manufacturing business. Okay. Not enough business for a real estate business, which we will talk about. The E1 and E2 visas I mentioned do not require applicants to move. There's a nexus of activity and sufficient presence to qualify you to need the visa or want the visa or get the visa. Additionally, it's really a great choice for people that are seeking flexibility and options. It enables freedom of movement, barring COVID and the border and all of that. That doesn't really have to do with this directly. That's border issues. People are always asking me, what do I say at the border? We give the best guidance that we can, but at the end of the day, that's CBP. CBP and USCIS do not always align, okay? Two-way visas, meaning they're available for inbound and outbound applicants. So for example, an American can get a visa, an E2, which is a different name, to go into Canada or into Israel, for example. And they're recommended for those operating real estate and other investment businesses. They do not lead directly to a green card, but you can increase your investment amount, increase your number of employees, or have a foreign company with which your E2 business is connected and qualify for an EB1C, a multinational executive or manager. Or maybe you'll create enough buzz to qualify for an extraordinary ability or national interest waiver visa, which are direct green cards. This is the list of the E2 countries as of 2021. I think there's 84 of them. In 2019, just over 63,000 e-visas were issued, and about half of that number was issued in 2020. So it was way down, not only because of demand being down, but also because of, governmental approach and changes and obviously COVID and all of this kind of fun, exciting stuff. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okay, I'm not monitoring the chat, so if there's a question, I apologize that I. Okay, sorry. I hear some buzzing. I'm gonna turn mute. So this is my most famous slide that I created, thanks to my friend from Ottawa, who ironically I just spoke with this morning. We met at Little League. Yeah, we don't play Little League, our kids do. And we met after he was already here. So he was in process of getting his E2 and his EB5. He has multiple businesses here. He's an amazing, amazing guy. And I had dinner with him at some point, like pretty much a year ago. And he said, you know what? My friends don't want to think. They want everything done for them. That's what we do at my company. It's not like you have to go and search the internet to find the immigration lawyer and the transactional lawyer and the business plan writer and the franchise broker and the business broker and the realtor, for example. Just saying, I have, I'm a realtor and a lawyer. So, but what we do is we do it all in one package. It's kind of like a general contractor that has everything under them. So he said, my friends want a simple process laid out for them that says, this is how you get a visa. Now, can I guarantee a visa? No. But what I can guarantee you is if you follow these steps, you'll be much more likely to be successful in your visa quest. And I have never had a denial, so I'm not planning to start now. Okay, now don't rely on this as the gospel, because it's not, and it changes, and it depends on what exactly you're investing in. And this is really focused on real estate, but I have the same slide for 10 steps to immigrate through investment. Okay, so the recommended investment is never going to be less than about, in real estate, between 150 and 250 out of pocket in over $1 million in assets. Now that doesn't seem like much, but in Ohio or Mississippi or Missouri or Tennessee, it's going to be multiple units, multifamily. It's not like you're buying 3 single family homes or $1 $2 million house. That's not going to work. It has to be a viable business. You have to be needed to run the business. So we recommend at least 5 doors, but generally that's not going to fly. That's just kind of a bottom line. If you have 5 doors that you're doing like an inn, let's say, or Airbnb, maybe we can make it qualify. But you have to make sure that the investment is substantial and that it's not marginal. And so as a result, we look at all of the variables. Now, sometimes we will recommend to many of our clients that it might be a better option to consider a franchise or something like the outdoor service business that I was mentioning, which basically is an all-in-one, just like our business, where you come and that we develop a management program for you. So you don't have to think and you don't have to start from scratch. And you have a business kind of in a box, which is much easier because no matter what you think, moving to the US or running a business in the US is not the same as it is in Canada or Israel or Italy or India. It's different. And people think that it's one size fits all, and it's not. So I take people through these steps. Step 3 is your cross-border tax guidance. Nobody goes through my process without speaking with my cross-border tax guy, whatever that cross-border might be, okay? And that is essential to setting up your structure and your process and your next steps. And, actually the guy that I most often use, just recently moved to Florida, and we are closing on his house. He is closing on his house that we helped him find in a couple of weeks. And he is just amazing. And he's licensed on both sides of the Canada-US border. So he's a Canadian specialist. So it's so good to have somebody like that in our pocket that I trust, that my clients can trust, that has their back. Asset protection. You don't want to do any of this without looking at how it impacts your assets. Do you have a will? What assets are going to be impacted when you move to the US? If you're moving to the US, are you becoming a US taxpayer? That depends on number 3. How does this all look? Then setting up your ideal structure. Maybe an LLC, maybe a limited partnership. Why? It depends on, again, where you're from and if you're staying a taxpayer in that country or moving to the US. Professional guidance, professional consulting. All the professionals are going to be involved, from realtors to tax specialists to, all types of lawyers to transactional specialists, lending specialists, you name it, and we bring it into the picture. Financing, can't do much without money. So we have a financing partner, Lendi, which is a company that funds Canadians, Brits, Australia's great. Canadians, Brits, Australians, and Israelis investing in US real estate, non-owner occupied up to 4 units. And it's a brilliant model because it's specifically focused on the target market that I'm working with. And it's available at reasonable rates. You don't need a social security number. So it's a great option. It's a great option, and they're expanding their scope of their service offerings every single day. Then we have the business plan. Business plan is essential. I'm going to work with you on a business plan or strategic plan no matter what. Now, numbers 1 through 8 are applicable whether you're actually getting a visa or not, because you want to make sure that all 8 of these steps are covered. Numbers 9 and 10 are specific only to if you want a visa. How does that look? Legal guidance, filing the petition, and then number 10, which is like almost the most important step. Guess what? I have my visa, now what? That's when the work starts. So people think that, oh, they have their visa, they can sit pretty. No, you have to run a business, or not only will you not get your visa renewed, you may lose it. And then what happens? You have to go back to your home country, tail between your legs and like, okay, I didn't do it. I didn't succeed. I failed. I'm back. It's not easy. This is generally the structure that is recommended to set up for a foreign investor investing in the US. This can apply whether they're staying in their home country or coming to the US. And it's kind of 3 phases. Foreign holding company is kind of like the owner or the general partner of a US holding company, which can be a limited partnership. And then that limited partnership then has a piece of each LLC that in turn owns the individual or multiple real estate properties, real estate holdings. Now, it's important to understand that different countries have different restrictions or requirements, because Canada does not recognize limited liability companies. They treat them as corps, whereas other countries might. So it depends on the tax matters from that home country, which is why the tax guy is so important. You really don't want to pay all the money you make from your investment or your business back to whatever your revenue agency is, right? That's kind of not the idea. Can real estate investments qualify? Yes, as long as they're not passive. It can't be a buy and flip. It can't be an asset holding company or just having title on a rental property. Now, I do have a couple of clients that do multiple flips, like they have businesses that involve flipping, but there's rehab involved. So it's not just like you're wholesaling. That could be more passive, but if you're flipping and there's multiple units, not just 1 or 2 a year, we can make it qualify. Again, it's about not having a passive business, but having one that you need to direct and manage. What types of real estate investments could qualify? These are just some of them: mobile homes, multiple rental properties, the BRRRR method on your properties, not single family though. That's never going to work unless you have like 40 of them or at least 20. Managing commercial properties, Airbnb, or multifamily. These are really the important options that are available, and it needs to be ongoing year-round activity. So this is important, especially in a place like Florida or Arizona, where there's a lot of seasonality, right? So we have to find something that happens in the off season. And additionally, some of my clients have done this already. You may want to look at other options to complement your business. Now, the beauty of the original slide, the 10 steps, is if you buy into let's say, an exterior cleaning business, which happens to be a business I really like. The beauty of that is that it complements your real estate investment business. So your real estate investment business can be part of your business plan and rolled into your whole visa. Okay, so it's all covered. So you're not going to have a problem when you invest in real estate. All right, so what is EB5? We're going to talk about this for literally a minute, because this is not something that most of you are here to learn about, but it's basically the only passive way to get a green card. And you can invest in a business directly and hire people, or you can invest passively into an existing business that has been kind of qualified to receive funds from investors. So the minimum investment as of today is $1 million or 500,000. You have to create at least 10 new full-time permanent jobs. You get a conditional green card. As I said, the queue right now is about 3 years. And 2 years later, you apply for the conditions to be removed. Now, I will put a caveat in there. It's 3 years for somebody from a country like Canada or England, but it's 14 years for a country like China, because China is way over their quota. So there's a backlog in terms of processing applications. So nobody's really doing this from China right now. So the other option might be, if you're from a country that does not have an E2 or E1 treaty, but this is how you want to proceed, you might invest in what's called citizenship by investment in a country such as Turkey, Grenada, Cyprus, Moldova, and you can then invest in real estate. Usually small in Turkey, I think it's 250,000. You get citizenship in Turkey, and then you can use that to springboard to the US. Okay. These are just some EB5 statistics. The numbers, as you can see, were particularly high in 2015, 2016. I think that after COVID is over, whenever that might be, these statistics will go up again, because it's a great way for the country, Canada, for the US to bring in capital and create jobs. There's a lot of issues about people saying, well, it's just only for the rich and so on. But the reality is it does bring in capital to the country and create jobs. So, you got to do what you got to do. This is the EB5 procedure. Again, we won't go through this in detail, but it's the process that happens when somebody chooses to invest in an EB5. And by the way, you can use the same business for an E2 and an EB5 as long as you can make it qualify. Okay, very important to understand. You just have to start from the beginning. You can't start like four years in. You really need to have the plan in place at the beginning so that you can plan ahead. This is just some stuff about our services that we offer, some client stories, which I'll go through. And then I wanted to share this with you guys. This is some information about the next steps so that you can access options to work with us. We are actually in the process of developing this group membership program. And I'm going to put a special new link into the chat that will allow you to download the 10 steps to immigrate through real estate, which actually this is the very first event I've ever done where I'm allowing you to access that, because I was keeping it very close to the belt. But I think after a year, it's probably time to share it a little bit more. So you can download that, Immigrate Through Real Estate, 10 steps to immigrate through real estate. I'll give you that link. And that will also hold a spot for you in this group coaching so that you can at least access our expertise and group services and so on without having to break the bank and spend a lot of money. Now, not everybody is going to be a perfect prospect for us, just like we are not going to be a perfect prospect for you. But the reality is that we want to explore those opportunities and see how it all looks and see if we can find a way to work together. Okay. So this is my bio, and it will also be available. I think it's part of the download. And I am going to shut down my slides. Wow, I did this pretty fast today. And I'm going to shut down my slides and be here to answer questions. And I'm going to put some cool links in the chat. Okay, so stop share. Now, let me see, any questions? Dawn, whose body? I don't know, Dawn, I know who you mean though, I'm just kidding. Anybody have any questions? Sandrine is in Israel, my very favorite country. Not that I'm, biased, but a little bit. And God willing, I should be there soon.
God willing.
Pardon me?
God willing.
God willing. So Sandrine is actually born in Montreal and lives in Israel. And she and I connected on, I don't even know what it was, over the summer. And we just had this like instant bond, right? And we became fast friends, and we're going to be building something like this kind of focused on the Israeli marketplace, because people just don't realize that this is available. So it's a great opportunity. I have a 5-city campaign starting in Canada. We're going to have a Facebook group for people that are in the US or looking to come to the US and don't want to go back to the cold or to wherever. Dawn, was that about our mutual friend, the body? I'm sure it was. Will the webinar be recorded? Yes, the webinar has been recorded. When will the membership be available and how much will it cost? It's going to be $4.97 and it's going to be available as soon as I can record all the videos and get this started. So I would say probably within a few weeks. You know, I have to have my hair done when I record videos, so it's the only condition precedent. So, but maybe I could have Shamily. She always has her hair perfect, so I could have her record videos. I'm just kidding. So it'll be $4.97 for the membership, and then what it basically is going to do is give you guys, like, if I had $1 for every time I'm asked, well, what are the options? What can I invest in? What can I do? What's this? What's that? I would be a multimillionaire. Or how do I get across the border? That's the most common question these days, right? So I'm going to have modules for all of that so that you can access it and you don't have to pay to directly speak with me. And if you want to, then I'll be available, and so will my team. So are there any other questions in the thing, in the 10 years? Any other questions that I can answer? If not, I'm going to put a couple of cool links in the chat. This link was literally just created like today. So
may I ask a question, Lauren?
who's this, please?
It's Mario Daniel Sconza.
Yes, sir.
What do you know where would be the easiest country to become qualified for a real estate license without necessarily being a resident or having status in the country?
Are you licensed in Canada?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So the best thing is there's some states in the US, we can talk about that offline, where you can get a license without necessarily living there or having a social security number, like Washington and I believe Montana. But for the most part, most countries have a residency requirement. Like Mexico, they don't need a license, but there's a residency requirement. Most places you don't need a license, except in Cabo you do. So it just depends on where you live and if you have residency there. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Lauren.
Where are you from?
I'm from London.
London, England.
London, England, yes.
Oh, are you from the group moving to Florida?
No.
Oh, I'm the lawyer on a group called Moving to Florida from the UK. You should join the group.
Oh, wow, I will do. Is it on
Yeah,
Facebook?
they let me in even though I'm not a Brit because I'm a hybrid.
Oh.
So they figure it's okay because I'm, you know, I can say that bloody blah, 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 blah. So it's okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, you talked about on one of your slides, you said about multifamilies 5 and up. So how would it work if you've got like multiple residential multifamilies, but they're just 4 units, maximum 4 units?
Absolutely. So the 5 is not about one building. It's about at least 5 units. So what we would do is we'd look at what you own and we'd do an assessment to see if that qualifies, how you can make it qualify, what you need to add, and so on. So that's kind of like my secret sauce, is figuring that piece out, because you may have, you know, if they're turning around $10,000 a year, that's not going to work. But if they're turning around 100 or 150, maybe that could work.
Okay, so it's not the actual investment what you put in, is it what it actually churns out?
No, it's both. It's a combination. So it's the substantiality is the investment amount that has to be substantial, and it's based on the business. So your substantiality is going to be that much higher for real estate because you're getting a tangible asset than it is for, let's say, a service business like my own business, which wouldn't be a huge investment because you're doing a service business, right? So everything everything I'm doing is basically online. So, but then again, I don't necessarily need to be in the US to run my business, okay?
Yeah.
It's easier. We have to tell the story about why do you need boots on the ground? Why do you need to be in the US running that business, running that investment portfolio, building that portfolio? You don't want to miss out on deals. You know, we can't, they don't care about that. Well, great. So what do we say? We have to tell a story. It's all about the story, and the business plan is going to always be the #1 most important document in any submission, okay? Any other questions? Sure, of course.
Hi, Lauren. I'd like to ask you a question. It's Sandrine.
Yes, dear.
Thanks for sort of introducing me. Oh, sorry.
Uh-oh, somebody's not muted, sorry.
That was me. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay, your kids are home, right, I forgot, it's 8:30, yep, okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's 8:30 over here on my part of the world. I wanted to ask you a question about timeline. Like, how long does it usually take for you to put a file together? And then how long does it actually take to, I mean, if it's possible, like a ballpark about to get the
Yeah.
actual.
So I'll do my best to answer that. Now, I'm gonna answer it like COVID exclusive, let's say, okay? So normally, under normal circumstances, a file can be done within 3 months, depending on what they're investing in. If they're planning to invest in real estate, it's probably not 3 months because you have to find the real estate. But if they're buying a business that's kind of a turnkey, could be 3 months. They buy the business, we get the business plan done, we do the petition. Then you
Okay.
apply for the interview. The interview is the time killer. Why am I look weird? Okay, I usually look pretty normal. Okay, it looks like I have holes in my head right now. The interview right now is the killer because you're waiting, like for example, in Toronto, it's 10 months, whereas it used to be a month. But COVID has put all of these setbacks and held things up so much because there's such a backlog. So what a lot of my clients do, and I do recommend this, especially for Canadians, okay? And I'm not talking about vaccination or not vaccination. No, we're not talking about that, okay? Again, barring border issues, the best thing to do if you want to get out of the cold is to come here to the US, to Florida, to Arizona, to a warm place, right? I'm not gonna come to Michigan, although I have a client that's doing this in Michigan because her daughter goes to med school there. Okay, great, that's fine, but that's not gonna be, I came to Florida for a reason. Anyway, you come here and you do what's called a change of status. Now, you come in with the intention of being a visitor, right? And we know that Canadians have, like I think Brits as well, and a lot of people have up to 6 months as a visitor. So you come in as a visitor. You're allowed to look at business opportunities, investment opportunities while you're here. 91 days in, so you have 6 months. So on the 91st day, it's been determined, and this is not like a hard and fast rule. It's been discretionarily determined that, this, you're a lawyer, that the 91st day shows that you didn't have a dual intent when you came in. So at that time, you apply for a change of status visa, which is up to 2 years, and it gives you a social, you can run your business, you get a bank account, all the stuff that's attached to an E2 without the E2. Now, that's going to be processed. You apply for premium processing. It's $2,600 and you get it processed in 15 calendar days. However, you cannot leave the country. As soon as you leave the country, you lose your status. So what I recommend, and again, not legal advice, but generally speaking, is you get this change of status visa if you want to be here in the US, and you apply for your interview at the same time. So when you get your interview, that's going to be when you leave the country, because then you're going to get your interview. Now, when you have a real E2, a full E2, so I call it the E2 light, the change of status. When you have that full E2 in your passport, you can go back and forth. Okay, you have freedom to travel, but the change of status visa does not give you that freedom to travel. I don't even think you could go on a cruise. I'm not sure about that, but you cannot leave the country legitimately. Now, the reason, it's interesting because Americans do not need a passport to go on a cruise from a US port, but anybody else does. So that's why I'm not sure. I think you would not be able to even go on a cruise. So if you're willing to stay, if you have elderly parents, it's a challenge because you can't go see them. Or, if you have kids that are in school or anything. So there are options, but generally speaking, right now, you're looking at about a year just because of the delays at the consulates.
And just another quick question, Lauren, do you follow, so you basically follow the client from the first, like if I come to you and I say, Lauren, I'm looking into it, and you'll tell me, will you guide me through everything? Like you'll tell me, okay, so what are you thinking? I'm thinking of doing this kind of business or maybe real estate, and you will guide me through the whole thing and let me know.
Dawn, am I guiding people through the whole thing? Did she hang up? Probably.
Because you spoke of, business plans. and
Babysitting.
everything.
Babysitting. That's pretty much what I do, especially with our mutual client. He's a character, so he loves us both. He drives us crazy. But yes, it is babysitting. It is truly, truly hand-holding. And it's not going to be for everybody. And it's, to be honest with you, because I'm always honest, but that's a Canadian thing. To be candid, most people need the babysitting and they think that it's costing them a lot more, and it's not. Because when you compare apples to apples, the total package price is the same as if they went and got X and Y and Z or Z, okay? Because most clients say, oh, that's really expensive, like a $30,000 price point for the whole package. But if they went to a corporate lawyer and an immigration lawyer and a business plan writer and a transactional this and got this done and found the business, it's going to be that much. But they're going to have those headaches in the process. Okay.
Right.
So that's the hardest thing for me to explain to people is, why am I going to pay you a project management fee? Well, because I'm the one that's going to get you from A to Z or A to Z as painlessly as possible and take you through those 10 steps of investing or real estate investing or setting up your business or cross-border expansion, okay? And that's the key to this whole thing. And the sooner that clients understand that, and some clients, like I told you, my friend in Ottawa or from Ottawa, whose friend is going to be here this weekend, okay, looking to do this from Ottawa, he said, my friends don't want to think. Now, some people, we know this, some clients want to think, and they'll think beyond you and they'll challenge everything. No. What do you mean? No. Those are not clients that we will work with, because they don't want to work with somebody that's going to take them through. It doesn't mean that they have to be like patsies, because I don't have patsy clients, but it means that they have to be willing to take guidance. And if they don't take guidance and they insist that they know more, then they're not going to be aligned and we're not going to be able to work together.
Absolutely.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to stop the recording, of course, and I'll be here to answer more questions. I'm just going to stop the recording now.